Welcome back, everyone, to episode 13 of Beer League Rebound. We got another great episode lineup, just like every other episode. Always great episodes lined up. But this one, I feel like we've done a good job of covering junior hockey. Now, for this interview coming up, we got a good friend of mine named Ryan Foisy. We got a peer beer league interview for you guys. Ryan was great to have on. He talked about joining hockey at the age of 19, going into beer league, and what his whole beer league journey is like, and the commitment he has to beer league hockey, which is actually pretty crazy. Some of the stories he tells us. So I'll let you guys listen and enjoy that just here in a bit. Just have a couple of things to touch on. Firstly, did you guys read the article that Paige from last episode posted about the podcast? If not, I shared it on my social media accounts last week. It's done by Puck Pros. Check it out. Great article. Thank you again, Paige, if you're listening, for doing that for me. That was truly amazing. I love the support I've been getting from this, and I have different people reaching out and talking to me about my podcast, and it's truly surreal to me. I say that all the time, but it really is crazy. Just this idea I had at the beginning of this whole pandemic. I've had it for a long time, beginning, I guess, kind of like late last year, but, just getting the courage to finally do it is huge, and just seeing how it's paying off for me and the amount of support I'm getting, it's crazy. So thank you again, Paige, for doing that article, and thank you for everyone who read the article and commented back or stuff like that. So for some hockey news, we're going to talk about, the first thing we're going to talk about is, I don't believe I covered this on episode last week because I think it just got announced, but within the past week, Las Vegas is going to be one of the hub cities. It seems like they're one of the front runners. I don't believe it's been confirmed, but maybe it has been. Now that Vegas is one of the hub cities, I personally believe that no Canadian team will be a hub city, or no Canadian team on the West. So Vancouver and Edmonton, I think they're out of the picture now. Reason being, I had this discussion with some other people, is the TV ratings for people out east. They're not going to be wanting to watch games at midnight over there, 8 o'clock here for Vegas and stuff like that, whatever the time difference is. So that's going to be a big reason why I don't think Edmonton and Vancouver will get one. It's going to definitely, one of the hub cities will definitely be an out east, but we'll have to see when it comes to that. But for right now, it seems like Vegas is going to be one of hub cities, and I don't think a Canadian city will have it. You also got to take in effect the whole travel restriction. If they have to follow the whole 14, like coming to Canada, you have to follow 14 days of, the whole isolation, follow all the proper guidelines. Whereas if you can have two hub cities in the States, it's easy to travel around, move the teams wherever you have to, and it'll be easier to shuffle around. Plus the conversion rate from Canadian dollars to American dollars and all that. So they're going to take into effect all of that. So we can, at least we got one hub city confirmed. I kind of figured Vegas was going to be one of the hub cities, just because, they have hotels, they literally have everything, golf courses for the guys, like whatever they're able to accommodate to, and whatever the players, whatever their restrictions are, and they're able to do, Vegas has it. So not surprised that Vegas has it. Kind of bummed, because I was really looking forward to Edmonton potentially being one of hub cities. They still are, but I just personally don't see the NHL now wanting to go to Edmonton if they have Vegas confirmed. But for all I know, that could flip within a second, and I could be completely wrong. And so I feel bad for anyone out east and trying to watch their teams, but at least there'll be some kind of hockey back. So I don't imagine I'll be too much complaining. Secondly, we have hockey starting back. Bryce, not starting back. it sounds like, so we all know the NHL right now is in phase 2. It sounds like July 10th is when phase 3 is going to start. And phase 3 indicates when the players can start practicing all together, if I'm not mistaken, and training together. And that's when it seems like they start all, become quarantined together, and they monitor like what the cases are like and everything else. So July 10th is when the goal, it seems like, for phase 3 to start up. So right now, the boys are just back on the ice and getting their feet underneath them, and just having some fun and probably relieve some tension out there, and kind of getting their heads back into that mentality of having to play this whole crazy playoff series that's going to happen. And then for phase 4, that's still predicting to happen, I believe, at the end of July if everything goes as planned. And that's when the play-in round starts. And that's when the on-ice action begins, which we are all starving for. I know I am. For more NHL news, there's been some news coming out, but I want to talk about this one in particular. This one's kind of funny. If you're a Buffalo Sabres fan, I'm sorry for talking about this, but it needs to be talked about. So they recently have just let go of their GM, and from this tweet from World Hockey Report, he tweeted out, "Buffalo under Pegulas, Pegulas? I don't know. I'm probably butchering that name, but they've had 0 playoff appearances, 3 general managers, 4 presidents, 6 head coaches." What is going on, Buffalo? Oh my god, that is okay. The fact that you guys, we understand you couldn't squeak in for a 2014 playoff, which is absolutely crazy. You got one of the best players in the world, Jack Eichel, and he's and you do this to him. You do all well, he has been there for all of it, but you do this oh, there's got to be some reshape, reform. There's something's got to get done because Buffalo fans, I really, really feel for you guys because yeah, Detroit sucks right now, but let's not forget about them going on how long of a run for how many years, over a decade, and I think even 2 decades. They were just such a consistent team. So now, you know what, Detroit, now it's your time to suck. You guys did it for how long? You proved everyone. You got your cups. Now it's your time to suck. But Buffalo, this is no, you guys are running out of excuses. You guys got to dial down next year, and you got to get something figured out because you guys are going to lose Eichel because he's getting pretty fed up with everything, and I don't blame him. He's a talented athlete who wants to be on a winning team, and if you aren't giving him the resources, just like lots of those other guys, I imagine lots of them are pretty ticked off right now when you're not giving them the proper resources. So I wanted to cover that because I just thought that was so interesting. So I'm going to send it over now to Ryan Foisy and his interview. Like I said, really good interview. I had a lot of fun doing this one, and you guys kind of get to see a side of what league I play in, and I'm so proud to play in the SHL, and we get to talk about that, and just have some chit chat about beer league stuff, and talk about how we're so close to being able to go back on the ice. So I'm gonna send it over to Ryan right now. Welcome back, everyone, to episode 13 of Beer League Rebound. We got our first Beer League interview. Now, we're going to step away from the junior hockey, and we're going to dive into some territory I'm familiar with, and hopefully lots of the you fans are as well. My good friend Ryan Foisy is joining us. Ryan joined when he was 19 years old, as he didn't play any organized hockey growing up. On his first shift, he got his first goal and had to call his mom. I really don't blame you for doing that there, Foisy. Joined the Knights early in his 20s, played them for 5 years, and he got to learn a lot about the game. So now I'm going to let Foisy take over and talk about his time playing hockey. Welcome to the podcast, Ryan Foisy.
Thanks, Bryce, for having me. It means a lot that I get to be the guy that plummets things after you had all the real talent on the show, hey?
Definitely. It's I mean, I'm in the same boat though, right? So when I talk to some of these other guys who are like really talented in hockey, and like, or especially when I had Brady on, he's a talented goalie. They're talking about all this stuff, and I was just like, "Ah, damn! Like, you guys are so much better than me." But at least you got to finally make it onto the show. So
Yeah, I'm excited. Thanks for having me. I've been listening for a little while now, and really enjoyed what's going on here. So happy to be on the show. Happy to share some of my stories, and looking forward to it.
definitely. So what kind of you didn't play any organized hockey growing up. You didn't join like a rec league till you're 19 years old. Did you just not like? Did you try skating at a young age, or were you just not really into hockey during when you're growing up?
Oh no, I was absolutely into hockey. So I spent a lot of my time during the winter at the outdoor rinks, and then I spent a lot of the time during the spring and summer playing street hockey with friends. And then when I was a kid, we loved to play mini sticks hockey in the basement too. I love playing hockey. I think a couple of reasons why I wasn't in any organized hockey is one, it's a huge commitment. You know, the early ice times, the costs, everything like that. And two, I was already playing soccer at the same time, so that was the sport I was going to stick with while I was a kid. But I kind of grew out of soccer. It wasn't really my thing once I got into around 14 or 15 years old.
Definitely. And I can vouch for the mini sticks were always a blast in the basement, but they're very dangerous as well. A lot of broken drywall.
Oh man, my highlight reel is like one of my best highlights in my life are from playing mini sticks in the basement. If I could have like a compilation of glove saves and one timers and all of that, like probably like 10 times better than my ice hockey highlights for sure.
I can relate to that honestly, because at least like being a goalie, you're already big in a net and mini sticks, so you look good, right? But it doesn't look
Yeah,
good when you're in beer league and you're getting pummeled of 10 goals.
fair enough.
So your first game, you scored your first goal. Tell us kind of what that was like. You know, you're just kind of getting into like the groove of playing. Like you played in the outdoor rink, but this is your first recreational kind of kick at the can, and you score on your first shift. Tell us what that was like.
Yeah, for sure. Once I got around 17 or 18 years old, I really knew I wanted to start playing ice hockey on a team, but I didn't really have a pathway to go do that quite yet. So I hopped on Google and I searched for a league, and I ended up joining as an individual registrant for South Calgary Recreational Hockey League, which is just a small league that's run in the south of Calgary, and it's really caters to new players. There's still obviously some talent within the league, but there's not nearly the investment of some of the bigger leagues in Calgary. So I signed up as an individual registrant. I didn't know anybody on my team. Showed up for my first game and got kind of nervous because I'm not a bad skater, or at least at that point I wasn't a bad skater. I wasn't a bad puck handler, shooter by any means. But the team game is something I hadn't really figured out yet. Like where to play positionally, how to get heads up plays, move the puck, that kind of thing. And so I skated to the net on my first shift as we went into the offensive zone, and I went right to the front of the net. And as most hockey players will tell you, you go to the net, good things will happen. A shot deflected, hit the goalie up high, and then I think the goalie either lost an edge or he tried to make a desperation save, and the puck landed on me, and I just happened to bang it in through the goalie. It wasn't a pretty goal, it was extremely ugly, but I felt like $1 million after that. I think I was only on the ice for maybe 30 or 40 seconds, and I already had to take a step off the ice to calm myself down.
Just all the adrenaline rushing through you, hey?
Yeah, absolutely. It was really a special moment for me, and I know from the perspective of professional athletes, this kind of moment doesn't really mean much, but for me as someone who just kind of dreamed about playing hockey at some level as I went into my teens and early adulthood, this was a pretty exciting moment for me. And so afterwards, I left the arena and I taken my bag out to my car, and I throw it in my car and I sit down, and I noticed I had a text from my mom, and she was just asking about the game. So I thought, I'm not going to text her back. I'm going to call her, and I called her, and I was like, I scored in my first game on a team on my first shift, and kind of told her the story behind it, and that was just a really cool moment to share with her.
That's awesome, man. That's actually so cool. I've done like the same thing where I've like when I finally got like a shutout again because I hadn't got one since like my minor hockey days. I called my mom too just because it's like as funny as it is, like because you're an adult and calling your mom still, you still get to share that like kind of moment you have, right? Where like they're not watching but they're proud of you, so you like have to kind of tell them, right? So that's really cool that you kind of got to experience that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you kind of do the recreational bit, and then you join like the Knights in the Calgary Adult Hockey League, correct?
Yeah, so no, we first played in the NCHL actually before moving to the
Oh,
Calgary
okay.
Adult Hockey League. So we played NCHL for a few seasons, um, which it was a definitely an eye opener for me that I had a lot to improve in my team game still. The pace was a little bit more than what I had done with that first team in South Calgary Rec Hockey League. And then, yeah, after a few seasons of playing together, we moved to the CAHL before ultimately disbanding, I think, about a year later.
Yeah, I think I got to join your team there. I forget, was that like the last year when I joined my first beer league team? It was also the Knights as well, and I was horrible, but I remember how much fun that was playing with like Danko, you, and Derek, and all those guys, and Cam. Cam was part of the team as well.
Yeah, so there was kind of we brought on some new players. Those guys included for a season as some other guys had moved on, and then eventually those folks also decided they wanted to start their own team, and they just went under the same name and same jersey. Um, and yeah, for one season, there was two Knights teams that actually played in the same division. It's just pretty hilarious because we had a little bit of a rivalry going on with them, a friendly one, albeit, but it was still a bit of a rivalry there.
That's funny, actually. So you kind of start to learn the aspects of the game. You joined one of the best beer leagues around, in my opinion, SHHL, with a team called the Rockets the last of the year, and then moved on to the Dynamos. What was it like making a transition into SHHL compared to the other leagues?
I can't say enough good things about SHHL, and I'll preface that I have a little bit of bias because I am friends with Cam Saspel, who's one of the directors of the league. But in trying to remain objective as possible, there is not a league in Calgary that actually cares more about the players that play the game than the SHHL does, and they really show that through more than just words. And some examples I'll give is they have like really great registration fees in comparison to some of the other bigger leagues, where the focus for the league isn't on just trying to make a profit, but also reinvesting that back into the league. And they've done that through things like having a great social media presence, creating like documentaries for players, having photo shoots at the games, and just overall hiring also some great personnel and developing a great league culture.
I honestly couldn't agree more with you. I'm so happy with switching over to SHHL. Like when I got like the call from Cam to go sub for their one game, and then I got to join because it's honestly the best beer league. Because I got to play in like hockey North America and Cal, and both were like okay leagues. But when I joined SHHL, it just felt like everyone liked each other. It was just a good vibe from the whole entire league, and you never felt like secluded, which I felt like in other leagues.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that goes back to the point about creating a good culture, and it really starts with the the league staff, from those directors to the referees to all the other contributors to the league, to and then how they build relationships with the teams and the captains and the GMs, and then it just spreads, and that's how you develop a good culture, is having a group that is very accountable for delivering on it.
I couldn't agree more. And it seems like you enjoy the league so much that now you are becoming a captain and a general manager of your own beer league team called the Solar Bears, which, by the way, have the sickest jerseys. Tell us a little bit about the team.
Yeah, so Dynamo's had seen the last of its days this past winter season, and I think part of the reason is we had a pretty good talent spurt in the Dynamos. Like we had guys that were like borderline junior players, and then we had guys that they're like comfortable in a beer league like Div 3 or 4, where there's not quite as much pressure and the pace is a little bit slower. And I'm happy to play at either level, but I also it sucks if you're not that at that skill level in Div 1 and it just kind of beats you up night after night. And the other thing is, with such a big parity in talent just on the team itself, if the right players don't show up for the game, you just get absolutely shelled. Like we had, I'd say probably 3 or 4 guys, and if like 2 of them didn't show up for a game and the other team had their roster, like our chances of winning were slim to none. We would get shelled, 10-goal difference, easy. And so I think that was part of it. So I was very, very selective in my team process for creating the Solar Bears. A couple things that I kept in mind is like, one, I want guys that I genuinely enjoy playing hockey with. They're just good people first and good players second. And then secondly, people that just pay their fees on time, which actually worked out really well. I think we were the first team to have their fees in and so early that they would consider it a bit of an anomaly. And then another piece to that is just having a little bit smaller of a gap in skills from the, I guess, the less skilled players to the more skilled players, just closing that gap a little bit so that on a team level, it's more fun to play a team game.
Wow, I really like how you kind of went through that process, because I couldn't agree more of like the whole like you just want genuine good people on your team. Like there's nothing worse than, I like to call it, like a cancer on your team. Someone who just makes everyone feel like kind of awkward and not part of the team, and it's just it gets a sticky situation, right? So I like the idea of like how you went through this process of picking, just genuine and good people who want to have fun, instead of, someone who's there to rip other people apart, right? Because you got to remember, like, the biggest thing is like beer league hockey is like an escape from like everything going on, right? There'd be like nothing worse than coming to the rink, and after your boss shredded you all day, you come to the rink and like one of your teammates is shredding you all day, right?
Oh, 100%. Like, that's actually a really great point because, yeah, I'll share the same sentiment that when I'm playing hockey in an environment that I'm enjoying myself, there's literally nothing else on my mind at the moment that I'm playing hockey. It is the one of very few activities where I can subconsciously block out everything else that's going on in my head. So it's that's what I appreciate about hockey so much. And when you don't get that playing it, then you don't get the kind of the social or mental benefit of the sport. You just kind of getting the bare minimum of physical benefit, which I guess in itself is not so bad, but like to get all of that in one package is usually a little bit better. So yeah, again, that was like one of the big reasons why we decided to create this team. And I had a lot of folks that were in support of it in early stages, so it was a pretty easy decision to go forward with. And we made it a pretty democratic process of how we like pick the team name, pick the logo, pick the jersey colors. We went through like a submission process, a voting process, and I can't be too humble when I say I think we might have the best jerseys in the league whenever the season starts here for summer.
Yeah, you guys are gonna look stellar on the ice. So we'll kind of touch back a little bit. So Dynamos, they're done for now. But this past season, you guys got to create a very cool documentary up between the Bisons and the Dynamos. Want to kind of tell like how everyone worked with this beer league documentary, because it's really cool how you guys brought all the equipment, the mics, and everything. So you just want to kind of explain about all that?
Yeah, absolutely. Jarrett Glockson, who is one of the players on Dynamos, is a good friend of mine. I've known him for probably about a decade now, if not more. he is actually a graduate in both, I believe, film studies and video production. And so, and he works for a video production company. So the league hired him and the crew that he works with to direct and produce a video. I would call it like a mockumentary because it was a very comedic aspect to it. But essentially, over a period of a few games, crews came out and recorded footage. We did actual interviews in the locker rooms where some of it was scripted, to be honest, which is, I think, is still great because that's kind of the goal of a mockumentary, is to find ways to get the comedic piece in there. And then some of it was just like great footage captured from in-game highlights. And I got my own highlight reel out of it, so I was pretty happy. I got to see myself score a few goals and make a few highlight moves. We got to, after seeing the video produced, seeing the end result, I was blown away because honestly, I wasn't expecting it to be anything crazy, but like the video production on it was top notch.
Oh, it was absolutely unreal. When I watched that video, I think I watched it like 2 or 3 times because A, it's hilarious, and B, like you said, the production and the quality of it's so good. Like you didn't know what the league was before. Now you can know so much more about the league just in like 14 minutes of watching this video. Like you get the comedy behind it, you get to how the league works, how the games are. You get the whole entire vibe of what like the SHHL is, just in like a short time frame, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, no, it is definitely I was blown away at the quality of what Jarrett and his team produced. Like outstanding work and outstanding props to all of them.
Are they going to be doing more? Hopefully, after this whole COVID or when we get back on the ice, are they going to be able to record more, or are they like limited with restrictions because of how many people can be in the arena during times?
I believe right now they'll be limited, so I wouldn't expect them to continue doing any of those projects through summer. But I would definitely see the league investing in projects like that going into the winter season and onward, as long as those restrictions are lifted and they can do so in a safe manner. There's a lot of positive feedback of the result of that, so I can't see a reason why they wouldn't. And I've even if you go into like the comments on the video, there's people saying that, yeah, I want to, like, how do we get this for our team? I want to be part of this.
Yeah, I saw a couple of those. That's awesome. So we'll kind of talk about some funny moments you sent me over here. So it seems like you should have your own record book because in one game you had 5 points without wearing any hockey pants as you forgot them at home on the other side of the city, and you broke a tooth and split your lip open in the first period of a game, came back in the second period, scored the game winner in the third period, went to the hospital that night and got 7 stitches. So 2 different scenarios, but man, you're a little bit of a beer league warrior, I like to say.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just have to take one for the team, I guess, if you really want to extend the definition of that. I'll talk about the tooth incident first a little bit because that was a wild one. It was the first period of the game, and I was just in a little bit of a scrum at the front of the net, and I got my I think my stick and my skates tied up with another skater, and we both went down, completely incidental, like no harm intended. But as we went down, I went face first into the ice, and so managed to like split my tooth open and break a tooth. I think I would have actually like hit my face pretty good, but my visor caught a lot of the impact, which is why I think my mouth was the only part that really hit the ice hard. I skated off, and I knew I was bleeding pretty good, but I skated to the locker room, and I started wiping it down with paper towel and stuff, did what I could to kind of slow down the bleeding, and then eventually got it under control enough that I just stuck some paper towel in my mouth and went back to the bench for the second period. And I was like, all right, guys, let's do this. I think I got kicked off the ice once because I was still bleeding a bit. So I had to go back and get it under control some more. But eventually I ended up doing that. And then in the third period, there was a 2-2 game, and I got a beautiful pass from Jarrett, who was in the offensive corner, and he set me up to basically break in right in front of the net, and I shot 5-hole and scored. And I think even the other guy on the ice wanted to celebrate with me because he saw what I went through earlier in the game, and he saw the kind of the paper towel in my mouth, and he felt bad for me, and he's like, "Yeah, man, you deserve that one." So yeah, it was a kind of really cool moment for me. And then after the game, I hopped in my car and drove myself to the hospital in South Calgary and waited in the emergency for a few hours, and then got checked out by a doctor. And he's like, "Yep, you definitely need some stitches if you want that to heal back and look okay." So got some stitches. Had to get some dental work done a week or so later, and then I was back to good after that. But that was definitely not like is a cool story, but I don't think I'd trade a game-winning goal for a broken lip and tooth in beer league.
No kidding. What a story that is, though. That's some commitment by you, my friend. Good on you for that. Now the pants story.
Yeah, so we were playing in this is with the Rockets, and we were playing in a division where we were overheads. This was I think Division 2 in SHHL. We did not have Division 2 talent, and we were playing one of the top teams. I believe it was the Chiquitas, and we were down by quite a I realized when I got there that I didn't have my pants, and I was like, okay, well, it's probably a 40-minute drive to go get them and a 40-minute drive to come back. So either I don't know what I'm going to do here. So I was kind of sitting in the locker room contemplating. I was like, all right, you have enough players, start the game without me. And in the first period, they were getting shelled pretty bad. I think we went down 4-0 or 5-0 in the first period alone. So the second period, I taped my socks to the top part of my pants, and I just made sure that my jock was on good. And I went to the ref, and I was like, if I go out like this, are you going to stop me from playing? And he said, nope. And so out I went. And really, my only goal was to play as I could and just not get in front of any shots, because that would have really sucked. And so, yeah, the game actually opened up quite a bit after that. I think the Chiquitas took their foot off the gas a little bit to take it maybe a little bit easier on us, but we made a little bit of a game out of it. I think we still lost, but I think the final score was like 9-7 or something like that after we went down 5-0, and managed to bury in 5 points in those 2 periods, 2 goals and 3 assists without wearing pants. So that's kind of a story in itself right there. It was a weird one.
See, at the beginning of the show, you said I waited to bring you on because I brought on a real talent first. But what you did, I think that's some real talent right there and more commitment, because that's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, you got me there. Only the real hockey studs can bang home 5 points in a beer league game without wearing pants. So Crosby, look out.
That's so risky too. Like, were you not scared for like your thighs and like everything else, or were you just like?
Yeah, no, it was a lot of heads up hockey, and I was not in the mood to get in front of any shots ever. So if there was a D-man lining up a shot, I was 10 feet wide of the net, staying away like from even the realm of getting like an errant deflection or something like that. And like the first shift too, when you go on, it's really weird because you feel the breeze between your legs. You don't feel that when you're wearing pants, and you feel it when you're not wearing pants. So that was a wake up call. But like, I guess the silver lining there is that it cools you off, man. I wasn't sweating nearly as hard without wearing pants.
Oh, I bet. It's a whole extra layer off, right? That's crazy.
Yeah, it was a little more comfy, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, definitely. So, during your time with the SHHL, you were on another team that kind of folded, or they were supposed to just be a summer team, but you guys had a Cinderella run with them. The team called Demons, bottom div team, but you guys went all the way to the finals. What was that like?
Yeah, so we were in Div 4 or 5, and again, we had some pretty good parity and talent on that team. We had like 1 or 2 guys that were Fairly like they could play like comfortably in Div 2 or 1, and then we had a lot of players that were also very new, just learning how to skate well and skate fast. So there was quite a range in skill in the team, and we didn't have a great regular season, and as a result, I think we were in the bottom 3 or 4 teams in a 10 or 12 team division, and so those bottom teams actually had to play a qualifying game to even get into the playoff bracket. So we played a qualifying game, we won that, we went into the playoff bracket, and that's where the kind of the Cinderella story began. And I think in the semifinals, that was probably one of the most exciting beer league games I've ever played, because we were down 2 goals with a minute 30 left in the game, and we pulled the goalie, and we actually scored those 2 goals to tie the game. One around like just under a minute 30 with a shot that just beat the goalie clean blocker side, and then another one where I was actually on the ice for this, and I think I took a shot and it hit my teammate Jason Giverson, hit him up high in the pants area, and then fell right onto his stick, and he banged it home. And I don't think I've ever hugged him so hard before. But after that, we ended up going into overtime in a shootout, and we managed to steal the W in a shootout and go on to the finals. And even in that finals game, we were up 2-0 up until the third period, when I think the Cinderella story finally ran out of gas, and the team and they honestly deserved to win. I think they were number 2 or number 1 team in the division. They made it 2-2, and then a little bit of a heartbreaker with a couple minutes left. I think they scored to make it 3-2. And I will forever. We had a great 2-way center, Brady Schmidt, who played with us, and I will forever give him heck, because he was away for the last 2 games on a houseboating trip on Shuswap Lake in BC. So I have to rub it in a little bit every time that story comes up, because I tell him if he was there for the game, that was the difference maker.
So that damn houseboating, it was what cost you guys the potential of winning it all, hey?
Yeah, so again, I got to give Brady heck every single time that the story comes up, and he doesn't just hear it from me, he hears it from a few other guys that played on that team. That, Brady, you would have been the difference maker. If we would have had you, we would have had one more guy that could play both ends of the ice pretty solid, and that probably would have been enough to get us into the championship.
Well, that's funny. So, as you mentioned here, like in the notes you sent me, I can relate to this one. So apparently you haven't also won any championships of any teams, but you're always getting closer. So it sounds like with the Demons, you were so close, but Brady kind of fucked that up for you guys. So now are you still hunting for that championship? Because I know I personally want my beer league championship, and I've came way too close way too many times.
Yeah, no kidding, man. I've heard the stories about these ringers that play in divs, 3 divs below where they should be playing, who have won 10 championships in 11 seasons, and I was like, okay, we got it. But yeah, I'm like, what a championship means to me. It doesn't mean that I should drop down to a division below where I should be playing at and just go get one that way. I want to win one in a division where I play competitive, and so I think for me that's right around that Division 3 range in SHHL. Like, I've played Division 1, and I like at most I can not be a liability. Let's say that. And Division 2, I can start to kind of help out the team a little bit more. That's value there. But like Division 3 is where I find is probably my most competitive division, where I can be maybe like a top 5 contributor on the team in terms of points, and but not be like so far back in a division that I shouldn't be playing in that I would just stand out. So I think that's right where I want to be at. If I wanted to title in Division 3, I'd be pretty happy about it. And I think the Solar Bears, that's probably the division we'll play around, is 3 or 4, and I think we'll if I can win a championship with them as a captain and GM, that'll be one that goes down in my memory books for sure.
Definitely. And I gotta agree that Division 3 and SHHL is my favorite division to play in. I got to play a couple games of the super villains or villains, whatever they are, and I got to play with them, and that's a fun division because so my problem is playing like I'll play Div 5 and I'll have some good games, but I find that sometimes I move like too fast for the game, it feels like. And that's where I just get beat because I'm not following the game properly because I'm moving faster than what my head's thinking. But playing that Div
Oh,
3 is just so comfortable where I can like keep up with the same pace of it, and it's just like it's a much fun, more of a fun division for myself and easier to play, I find.
yeah, and like I got a feel for you when you're playing goalie in like a Div 5 game because those guys don't know where they're going to shoot the puck, and if they don't know, how the hell are you supposed to know how to stop the puck? They don't know where it's going. And the puck just bounces around so much. It's more of just like a never-ending scrum to get control of the puck, and then eventually it squirts out, and next thing you know, it's in the back of the net. So I feel for the goalies in those divisions. You don't really get a fair shot because you never get actual clean shots on net. You just get bounces and deflections and all those fun things.
Oh, absolutely. It's it's horrible at times. That's why I had fun playing like for the Dynamos as well. Little higher than what my division should be, but playing a couple of games where I like you could track the shot, follow the shot, you could read where the play was happening. I really enjoyed that just because like you said, like that puck's a bouncy ball in those lower divisions where you have no idea where it's going.
Yeah, agree totally.
So carrying on, you one scoring title though, and what season was that? The 2018 was that?
Yeah, 2018, 2019 fall and winter season with SHHL, and that was playing with the Dynamos in Division 3.
So that's before you guys got like Kevin and all that, right? That's when,
Yeah, before we added all of our beer league ringers and moved up to Div 1.
and then it kind of fell apart from there. But was that a good like season for the Dynamos during that time?
Yeah, we actually ended up finishing. Oh man, I can't remember if this was the same season, but I believe we ended up finishing. I think like number 2 or number 1, even in the division, and we actually got in kind of a shitty situation when we got our playoff matchup because we ended up matching up against a team that they were, I think, like 6 or 7 in our division, but they actually dropped down from Division 2, and the reason why they were so low in our division is because of their Division 2 record. And so they unfortunately, like one of the things that like I would recommend that leagues do differently is to make sure that if a team moves divisions, then their standing should be based on their point percentage in their current division, and their previous division shouldn't reflect any of the standings of the division that they're now in. But unfortunately, that didn't happen at the time. So we ended up getting matched with a team that was positioned a little bit, I think, below where they should have been. And so yeah, we ended up with a tough matchup, and like I guess I don't want to make any excuses too much. We played a good game, but we did end up losing. We made it close at the end. I think we were down 6-3 and we lost 6-5. And that team did actually end up going on to win the Division 3 championship. So being 1 goal away from, or I guess 2 goals away from being the team that ultimately won the championship helps you sleep a little bit better. But yeah, it was another. Yeah, we did fairly well in that season.
Definitely, and scoring a title, it's a big accomplishment. So good on you for that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, like it was awesome, and like I would never thought that ever would have happened, and it actually happened in the very last game of the regular season where I ended up having like a 3 or a 4 point game, and I came to that game because I was laughing because I was telling the guys I was looking at the stats and I was only 2 points back of the guy that was in at the top of the league, but he had already played his last game and I hadn't, so that was my chance to take the title.
That's pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah.
So as well, you kind of had another special moment that season during the 2018 winter season, where your grandma had passed away one morning, and later on the night you played a game, you scored in the game, and you had what you call your Matt Station moment. What was that like when you pointed to the sky and kind of had that like? Because we talk about hockey kind of being like a therapy and like escape from everything. So like when you were like in that moment, did it just feel like? How did it feel for yourself?
Yeah, it was really something special for me. Yeah, my grandma had been experiencing some health issues for a few weeks prior, and she was in the hospital. And then I got a call around 8 a.m. saying that she had passed away, and I was kind of in that shock state for the better part of the day. I went into work for a little bit, and then went home, um, and then I knew I had a hockey game that night, and I was deciding whether I should play or not, or if I should take the night off. And I decided like what would be best for me to cope right now is just to go out and play and have fun and see the guys that I haven't seen in maybe a month or so, because it was the first game back for the winter season, and so we had been off for a few weeks. And I decided like I just really want to do that. And then in the process of making that decision, I decided that if I happened to score a goal that game, that I would do that, and I would point to this guy and I'd dedicate it to her. And so I think it was like during the second period of that game, it was kind of a broken play. I took a pass just as I was going over the blue line. It went off my skate and actually went to my teammate Jarrett again, and he passed the puck back to me, and I saw a way to the net, and I just took a clapper, and it just happened to sneak through the defenseman's legs and beat the goalie. And so I skated behind the net, and I pointed to the sky, and I was like, this one's for you. And after the game, I wanted to be able to kind of save that moment. So I actually went home and went online and bought a month of subscription to Live Barn, which is the video cameras that exist in a lot of the arenas in Calgary that I think they're most often used for like coaches and minor leagues and stuff like that to watch practices and watch game footage. But you can also, even as a beer leaguer, you can buy a subscription and get access to the cameras. And so I bought a subscription, and I downloaded that moment, clipped it out of the game, and saved it. And so now I'll have that video recording forever.
Man, that's a truly, truly, truly special moment for you to have, and to kind of just. I imagine it felt like kind of like that closing feeling. You know what I mean? Like you did what you wanted to do. You set your goal, then you accomplished that game, and so you kind of got that like I don't want to say like relief, but like it's just a good like feeling. I imagine. Hey.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, it was. It was a moment that like I think that was able where I was finally able to start experiencing some emotions. I think like when you're dealing with death, I think it's fairly expected that the first emotion that once someone you loved has died will be shock. Like some people don't go immediately into tears. It takes a while for them to actually process what's happened. I think that moment allowed me to truly start processing what had happened, and then afterwards I had gone through the kind of the grieving process and went to be with family and everything.
Wow, that's. Oh, I have like the arms, like my arm hair is standing up after hearing that. That's absolutely crazy, but good on you for being able to deal with all that and get the goal for your grandma. So
Yeah, thanks, man. It means a lot to me.
definitely. So minus everything that we kind of talked about, any other exciting news? I know we have hockey potentially starting up here in July. Are you looking forward to that?
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll have to see if we can get a counter for how many times I've said yeah, absolutely on this podcast, because I just realized I've probably said that about 20 times now. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting back on the ice. It's been a challenge for sure, to just not be able to play. And I know for a lot of the guys, it's the only time I ever see a lot of these guys is playing hockey. Like I would still consider them my friends, but many of us live fairly busy lives, and we just don't get the chance to see each other when there's not hockey involved. and so that it's really great that we'll be able to come back and see each other again. And we actually had went out for wings with the Solar Bears team the other night. Now that bars have reopened, so we actually got a couple tables, and we respected the process, and we got together and we had some wings, and I was able to hand out everybody's jerseys, and we talked about the upcoming season. So that definitely generated some excitement for sure. And as of right now, the SHL is saying that we'll be able to resume play hopefully in early July with a modified summer season that would extend out into the end of September.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. I'm absolutely buzzing to get back onto the ice and, like you said, be able to go to the locker room and talk with the guys again. It's gonna be kind of weird though, because I heard that like with Alberta Health Services rules, like we won't be able to switch out players between teams. Like you can't bring on subs anymore or stuff like that. Like you're pretty much like quarantined with your own team and you can't switch around teams, hey?
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting thing. And right now, with the way Phase 2 is in Calgary, we are only allowed for those sports cohorts up to 50 people, and that includes all players, officials, and staff required to operate the game that don't have the opportunity to physical distance during the process. And so, yeah, that absolutely makes sense. What I find kind of funny is that the team limits that SHHL has proposed is 4 teams of 12 skaters, including a goalie. And really, at most, that would give you 2 lines for every game you play, unless you manage to get some subs from other teams within that division. But I think it's kind of hilarious because in the last couple of seasons with Dynamos, we struggled to get 10 guys out for a game on a regular basis. So it'll be exactly what we're used to, assuming at least most of the guys for Solar Bears show up for their games.
That's very true. It's a very good point, actually. The only downside is you can't call in someone to come fill in some extra holes if you have any, hey? Because that's the only part I'm worried about is like if guys are away for like the weekend or like the week for like work or something like that. What are they gonna do if there's only like let's say 7 skaters? Like you're just running 7 skaters, I guess at that point, or 6 skaters, right?
Well, I'll tell you is we're gonna be athletic coming out of this, man. We're gonna our endurance and cardio is going to be next level with when we're playing games with 7, 8, 9 skaters at a time. So I guess that's one thing. And I'm sure we'll get some nice little player-on-player rivalries too, with players constantly subbing for teams within the same division.
Oh, I imagine I think it's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, I am. Regardless, like I totally get it that the precautions that the league is putting in place aren't just to make us suffer; they are to serve a higher purpose of what we need to do in order to prevent the spread of COVID-19. And I totally understand that and respect that. And I'm just appreciative that we do get to get some form of hockey back. And then I'll also look forward to the future whenever we can actually return to how beer league hockey has operated as we've known it in the past.
I couldn't agree more. I'm looking forward to this well and, playing with the restrictions. But we're going to leave it off with that. Thank you, Foisy, for coming on and talking about your whole journey with beer league hockey and how, the age you started at and everything you got to do with it and the funny stories of wearing no pants. Like, this is a great interview, and thank you for taking your time and coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Bryce. Appreciate it, and best of luck going forward with the podcast.
Thank you. Hope you all enjoyed that interview with Ryan. It was honestly a great interview of just reflecting on beer league hockey and what that's like. And, Ryan, he puts a lot of commitment into it and, starting at 19 and going through the leagues and all that. And, he makes you feel like you're part of the journey. So thank you again, Ryan, for coming on and talking about, your time with hockey in general and beer league hockey and playing for one of the best leagues in Calgary, SHHL, which, by the way, if any of you kind folks are looking to play summer hockey, I think they are taking on some registrations. I could be wrong, but go on the website and check it out because It's one of the best leagues you'll play in Calgary for any of my Calgary friends who are looking to get on the ice this summer. Yes, this summer. But here's a funny story talking about some ice time. So, as I mentioned in my last episode, I was all excited because last Saturday was June 13th. I was supposed to go on the ice that night. And I remember I was just buzzing on the podcast talking about how excited I was. So June 13th rolls around. And of course, Mother Nature brings one of the worst storms in I don't know how many years. Just an absolute beast of a storm. And it did a lot of damage to the Northeast Calgary, which of course where this rink is. And I just remember thinking to myself, "Oh God, like what a storm!" But I'm thinking my power didn't get knocked out of my house. Everything's got to be okay because that's how close-minded I clearly am when I just want to get on the ice. So my buddy Smith comes and picks me up. We're getting ready. We're driving out there, and in Airdrie, there's a lot of water, and it's still lightning all around us. But we're like, whatever, like, we're going to the rink. It's no big deal. And we're heading out there, and we're driving, and we start driving on like just what was left of the hail from the storm. And when I mean left of the hail, like still golf ball size hail, we're driving on the highway. And we take the exit, and Smith and I are both like, holy crap, like it got absolutely like demolished out here. Like what? So we're pulling in to the arena, see our friend there, we're talking, and then we get the email that apparently since the power cut out from the storm, that the ice started melting, and the only way we're gonna get on the ice is if we brought like a Sea-Doo or something like that. I don't know. So your boy finally had an ice time. I packed my gear and everything. I brought a mask in case I had to wear it in there. I brought hand sanitizer. I was ready to go. And then, you know, Mother Nature just kind of came in, was like, nah, I don't think you want to play hockey quite yet. So as much as it sucks for me, I feel a lot worse for everyone else who's involved in that Northeast, because obviously me not playing hockey is like, that's not a big deal, but what happened over there, huge deal. And I feel bad for everyone who is affected by that, because that was absolutely crazy what happened here in Calgary last Saturday, especially for it being June. We usually don't get that type of storms in June. That's more like a July and August type of thing when it's a lot hotter out. But for June, for that to happen, that was nuts. And it stopped me from going on the ice, which is, how much of a brace moment could that be? That's how I like to look at it. But so I'm just gonna leave off the podcast with that funny story, and hope you guys can kind of get a laugh at me, because boy, Smith and I both were kicking ourselves in the ass when we were reading that email of the rest of the guys. We couldn't believe it. But it is what it is, and I heard that they got the ice up back and running and everything's good there. So I'm glad to hear that. But I'm gonna leave the podcast off of that. Thank you again, everyone, for listening, reaching out to me, commenting on everything. This has been so much fun. We hit over 400 total listeners, or total listens on Anchor and Spotify. So thank you. That is a huge, huge, huge milestone made. I'm looking forward to hitting 500 here, and continue to grow this. The YouTube channel has gotten more subscribers. Instagram's gotten more followers. Same with Twitter. Like everything is just gaining traction, and I can't thank you all for enough for your continuous support and sharing and everything. It truly means a lot. Also, if you go onto my Facebook, I shared some more merch samples that I got in, some different colors as well. There's a purple and a royal blue. Check those out. Comment what colors you like, all those two, and I'm hopefully will have something here ready to go here within the next couple of weeks. I've had some people messaging me about it, so hopefully next couple of weeks you guys can start repping Beer League Rebound. But for now, I'll just be the only one of like repping my merch, but it's okay because I made it. So anyways, look forward to talking to you guys next week, and thank you again for listening.